So, Ryan, thank you so much for, first of all, for making that piece of art, the film about Foreman, but also for coming and joining us for a short talk. Tell us a bit about the film. Why did you want to make it?
It's a little while ago now, actually. But at the time, I'd actually met Richard Foreman in the UK. He came to my college and was filming with students for 2 weeks. I'd graduated at that point and was running his cameras for him, and really I'd never heard of him before, and I'd never been exposed to anything kind of quite like his process and his work. But really, I found it quite unique and quite refreshing that someone didn't really, didn't seek the approval of anyone around him or any critic or anything like that at all. He just very much looked at his vision and how to get the most out of his work, and it really was. Probably actually didn't really understand that properly until a couple of years later. But then I moved to New York about a year after that, stayed in contact with Richard, and that's when I started my own company with my business partner Arnie, who's right there, and produced the film. Yes. Spoke to Richard about doing a new look at his work and his life in a different way, presenting it, I guess, a little bit how he does. I think focusing more on the message rather than how it's received or traditional narratives, and really let's just go and interview people and kind of get to the core of who he is, and try this kind of relaxed feel to kind of get the best out of each person. And everyone opened up nicely, and it was a really good experience making the film. But Richard, who doesn't really commission many documentaries or speak to many people, was on board with it and liked the vision we had for it. And he liked the film in the end, which was good. I wasn't sure if he would, but he did. And yeah, it came out very well, but it really wouldn't have happened if I hadn't met him all that time ago, which again goes back to the core of who he is, working with students, people who hadn't worked in film, or actors that hadn't really done many things before. He just worked with and got the best out of ordinary people, which he says at some point he prefers non-actors sometimes than actors. But if he hadn't done that, I never would have met him to start with. So,
well, thank you. I thought the film had a wonderful flow. I thought your use also of the scenes was very inventive. I thought the voices you combined as an orchestral score, and they really give us an idea and about his mind, his work, and the flux of his mind, maybe even. But what surprised you? What did you find out? What was new?
I think just really, he's someone that obviously I knew in recent years, but someone that really hasn't changed over all of his career. From speaking with Stanley Silverman about the first show he ever did all those years ago in Soho to really now, he hasn't changed. How he approaches things and how his work has changed quite a bit, but really it's the same process and it's the same thing. So really that kind of tenacity I think probably took me aback, kind of surprised me the most. But the stories were fun, hearing all the different stories he had to tell, and some things that made the film, some that didn't. But there's a lot of interesting stuff about him where we were then faced with the challenge: how do we show that? We can either have more people talk to camera, or we were limited in some of the footage. So we went with going with animation and kind of recreating these scenes, using a variety of different animation styles, and I think it came out pretty well.
Yeah, truly, it did. What was the most difficult part of it? Was it finding the archive, or what was the real challenge?
The archive was good. Jonas Mekas was very helpful, kind of gave us everything. He just said, take whatever you like, and went to his Williamsburg loft at the time and just said, just go and pick out whatever you like. He gave us an expensive shot as well, which we necked straight away, and he started sipping, so it was a bit awkward, but he was fine with it. But besides that, I think the most difficult part really was I think just it took a long time to get. There's a lot. I think we did over 50 interviews or so. So I think just the preparation and then the eventual interview of each person, I think just took a while. So probably that. And then obviously because we didn't write it first and then go and shoot, we were then sat in the edit piecing things together, which was challenging, but at the same time what we're there for.
Yeah, truly remarkable, the number of voices you reached out to and what we heard, and I thought also what you chose, what they said, really was always a unique contribution. We have time for one or two questions. I'm sorry, because we will be going on all day with the screening, but if you have number one and the second one over there. Okay, so we're going to give you a mic because we're also recording it.
I noticed that there was, so many tight pieces in the film, and I got the feeling that you were just trying to get in as much as you could. And I wondered if that, was part of the challenge, how long it took you to make the film, and if there's anything that you had to leave out that you really wished that you could have fit into not making it 10 hours long.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the thing about Richard's work is you can take a section and it can kind of make a statement on its own, but it does belong inside of a bigger piece. So you get sucked into watching a lot of the archive pieces, a lot of the old plays, even though they're filmed in a 2D fashion, it comes across really well. But I think there's a lot of stuff that we would have liked to put in. I think watching it back, we'd like to pad things out, certainly, but, then it will be about 10 hours long. So it was certainly a challenge, but he has a lot of remarkable material that's eye-catching and interesting, confusing, all the different things that people talked about in the film. You can see through those samples, but it certainly was a pleasure going through them. I know you're going to see quite a lot of stuff today. And there's a lot of material that we went through that you'll be seeing today that I think certainly in its context will be really entertaining.
Were there any interviews that you had to scrap?
I think we used everybody. I'm pretty sure we used everybody. Lou Reed we used, but it was very difficult to use Lou Reed because I think we had that line plus one more was all he gave us, bless him. But yeah, it was. I think we used everyone. I don't remember. Do you remember anyone that we?
Maybe just a few.
Yeah, maybe some students that we had maybe on some of the filming days there. But I think everyone we had a sit-down interview with, I think we used.
Hi. I enjoyed it. I think everyone in the room enjoyed it a lot. But how has it affected your life? Has it affected you to make more films like this or change the way you make films?
I think it certainly gives you that. I think it gave me a lot of this living it. Certainly going through working on the documentary gave me that kind of strength to kind of go after what I wanted to do more, and that the message is there, but then going through it for a year and a half, 2 years as you work on the film kind of really gets it in there. So I think that was probably a lasting effect, but certainly made more films since then, and been a lot more open to a lot more experimental art than I would have done before. As I say, I hadn't heard of Richard Foreman before, but then moving to New York after knowing him and then doing the film, it's kind of opened my eyes to a lot more productions that go on away from kind of the main headlights. So that's probably the main kind of takeaway. But he's a very inspiring man and someone that still does what he wants to do, which is great.
Well, thank you so much. As a final question, what's happening to the film itself? What's the history of it? And
I'm not sure. We have a few alternatives. We want to make sure, obviously, people can, many people as we can get to see it. A lot of universities and things. So I think, Arnie's doing a lot of work there to make sure it gets the play that it deserves, really, because the worry is that you kind of sell it away and then it just gets put in a cupboard and never seen again. So we want to make sure that it goes out there and many people, we weren't in it to make money. Unfortunately, documentaries don't make a lot of money, so it's really about getting it out to as many people as we can.
Yes, it truly deserves to be seen. It's a great, I think, introduction. Richard himself said this should be at the very beginning. Now we're going to move over to the part also what the day is about, Richard Foreman, the filmmaker. And now we're going to see City Archives from 1977, about 30 minutes. Again, Ryan, thank you. Arnie, thank you for giving us the film. And Michael, let's go.